We're about to dive into a story that it completely redefines what it means to survive. This is a true story, and it's as horrifying as it is, believe it or not, inspiring. So let's get right into it.
I mean, just think about that for a second. 127 hours trapped, and the only way out? To cut off your own arm. Sounds like something out of a horror movie, right? But it's absolutely true. So how on earth does someone get to that point? To understand that, we've got to go back to the very beginning.
Okay, so here we go. A trip ended in disaster. It all started out like any other adventure, really, just another day in the American West. But one single mistake, that's what set the stage for everything that was about to go wrong.
So let's meet our guy, Aron Ralston. He's an American adventurer, totally experienced, knows what he's doing. He's out on a solo climbing trip in the middle of nowhere, the remote desert canyons of Utah. But here's the thing, he made a classic mistake. The one thing they always tell you not to do. He told absolutely no one where he was going, not a soul. So if he went missing, nobody would even know where to start looking.
And then, just like that, in a split second, his whole world changed. He was climbing, moving through this narrow canyon, and this massive boulder he was on just slipped. It fell, and it crushed his right arm, pinning him completely against the canyon wall. Just bam, everything stops.
And we're not talking about some small rock here. This thing weighed 360 kilograms. That's almost 800 pounds. To put that in perspective, that's like having a grand piano fall on your arm. There was no way he was gonna just push it off. No chance. It was an immovable object, and he was completely, utterly trapped. His hope of getting out, pretty much zero.
And this is where the real horror begins. 127 hours of horror. From that moment on, the clock was ticking. What followed was 5 straight days, 127 hours of pure isolation, incredible pain, and just a slow, grinding descent into total despair.
So let's just take stock of the situation, okay? He had basically no real food. His water was running out fast. Of course, no phone service out there. And the worst part, nobody knew where he was. He was well and truly on his own. The situation was about as bad as it could possibly get.
And for 5 agonizingly long days, he just held on. He rationed every single drop of water, every last crumb of food. He even started preparing for the end. You know, he had this small video camera with him, and he started recording goodbye messages for his family. Can you imagine? Saying farewell to your loved ones, absolutely convinced you're never going to see them again.
But then, right when he was at his absolute lowest, something changed. He's delirious from dehydration, basically on the verge of death, and he has this incredibly vivid vision. He sees a little boy just running towards him, and somehow he just knows this is his future son. It was a glimpse of a life that he hadn't even lived yet.
And that vision, it just flipped a switch in his head. It sparked this powerful realization, this voice in his mind that said, I wasn't born to die here. Plain and simple, he was not meant to die in this canyon. And suddenly, that glimpse of the future, it gave him everything he needed to fight.
Which brings us to this, the impossible choice. We're now on the 6th day. His water is completely gone, his body is shutting down. He absolutely knows that he is out of time. And he's facing a choice that is, well, it's almost impossible to even comprehend.
So, with this just unbelievable, chilling sense of resolve, he started. Step 1. He used the weight of his own body to literally break the bones in his arm. Just snap them. Step 2. He pulled out a small, probably dull knife and began cutting, through muscle, through tendons. And step 3. He had to finish the amputation. All of this with zero anesthesia. Zero.
Just let that sink in. 1 hour. The entire process took a full hour. Can you even imagine an hour of that kind of pain, that kind of intense focus? It was all driven by one thing, the pure, raw will to live. It's just an incredible testament to what a human being can endure when survival is the only option left on the table.
All right, survival and beyond. You'd think getting free would be the end of it, right? But no way. That was only half the battle. Now he's bleeding, he's incredibly weak, and he still has to find his way to safety. His ordeal was far, far from over.
Get this, he then had to hike 10 kilometers. That's over 6 miles, under the brutal desert sun with just one arm, losing blood, about to collapse at any moment. And as if that wasn't enough,
He also had to rappel down a 65-foot cliff just to get out of the canyon. It's just mind-boggling.
And then, a miracle. Seriously, just when he thinks he can't take another step, he stumbles upon a family out hiking. It was pure, dumb luck. They gave him water, they called for help, and he was finally rescued by a helicopter. He was literally minutes away from death. But he did it. He survived.
But what's maybe even more incredible is what he did next. Aron didn't just crawl back into a shell, he thrived. He wrote a best-selling memoir, Between a Rock and a Hard Place. His story was then adapted into the movie 127 Hours. And then, the most amazing part, he went back to mountain climbing. He went right back to the thing he loved. So, let's talk about what this all means. Stronger than the rock. When you hear a story this extreme, what's the real takeaway? I think the lesson here goes so much deeper than just the physical horror of it all.
When you boil it all down, the story isn't really just about pain and suffering. It's actually about faith and sheer determination. It's about the incredible power of the human will when your life is truly on the line. It's about fighting for a future you can't even see yet.
And here's the final thought I want to leave you with. That quote says it all. You may not be stronger than the rock, but you may be given the strength to move it from within you. Think about it. He couldn't move the boulder. It was physically impossible. So instead, he found the strength inside himself to change the situation. And that kind of makes you wonder, right? What are the rocks in our own lives? And what kind of strength do we have inside of us just waiting to be discovered to help us move them?